The call came on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. My phone buzzed across the kitchen counter while I was pouring coffee. I glanced at the screen and almost laughed. For a moment, I just stared at it. Years of silence, and suddenly my phone was ringing like nothing had happened. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Her voice was shaky. "Sweetheart, we need help." "Of course you do," I thought. And just like that, the past came rushing back. 5 years earlier, I was lying in a hospital bed staring at the fluorescent lights, trying to figure out how my life had flipped in less than 10 seconds. A car hit me crossing the street. It didn't stop. Just metal, headlights, a flash of pain, and then pavement. When I woke up, my leg was broken in 2 places. 3 ribs cracked. A concussion, surgery, weeks in the hospital. Then came the bills. Massive ones. Insurance covered some, but not enough. I was staring at numbers that made my stomach drop every time I opened the envelope. So I did the only thing I thought I could do. I called my parents. Back then, I still believed family meant something. I remember sitting at their dining table, the same table where we'd celebrated birthdays and holidays for 25 years. The medical bills were stacked in front of me. My father barely looked at them. My mother folded her hands like she was about to deliver bad news to a stranger. "We can't help you," she said. I blinked. "I'm not asking for everything," I said quietly. "Just some help. I'll pay you back." Dad leaned back in his chair. "You're an adult," he said flatly. "You need to figure it out." That phrase, "figure it out," it hung in the air like smoke. I remember looking at them both, waiting for the punchline, waiting for the moment where they'd soften, laugh, tell me they were joking. They didn't. My mother even added almost casually, "Maybe this is a good lesson in responsibility." A lesson. Right. I left their house that night with my bills in a folder and something cold settling into my chest. That was the last time I asked them for anything. The next 2 years were brutal. Physical therapy, second jobs, selling my car, living in a tiny apartment that smelled like old paint and regret. But pain has a strange effect on people. It either breaks you, or it sharpens you. I paid off every dollar of that debt myself. Slowly, painfully. And while I did, something else happened. I stopped seeing my parents as parents. They became something else. People. People who made choices. People who chose not to help their injured son when he was drowning. That realization changes how you see the world, and how you move in it. I worked harder, smarter, invested carefully, built a business with a friend from college that started small and quietly exploded within 3 years. By the time I turned 32, my life looked nothing like that hospital bed. House, savings, freedom. But I never forgot that dinner table, or those words, "Figure it out." Which brings us back to the phone call. Mom was crying now. "We're in trouble," she said. I leaned against the counter and listened. Dad had made a series of investments, bad ones. The kind that sounded smart until they collapsed like cheap scaffolding. They'd taken loans, then more loans. Then the house went underwater. Now collectors were calling. And suddenly, they remembered they had a son. "You're doing well," she said carefully. "We just need a little help to get through this." I could picture the house. The kitchen, the table. Everything exactly the same. Except now the roles were reversed. I took a slow sip of coffee. "How much?" I asked. She hesitated before saying the number. It was large. Large enough to erase their problem in one transfer. Large enough to mean nothing to me anymore. Funny how life works. "You're the only one who can help us," she whispered. For a moment, I said nothing. Then I grabbed my keys. "I'll come by," I said. An hour later, I was sitting at that same dining table. Same wood. Same chairs. But the air felt different now. My father looked older. Smaller somehow. The bills were spread in front of them this time. I recognized the expression on their faces. Panic. I had worn that same expression once. "Son," Dad said, clearing his throat, "we just need a loan. We'll pay you back." I looked down at the papers, then at them, and for the first time in years, I felt completely calm. No anger, no bitterness, just clarity. "You know," I said slowly, "this reminds me of something." They both looked confused. 5 years ago, I sat right here asking for help with my hospital bills. Neither of them spoke. "You remember what you told me?" Mom shifted uncomfortably. Dad looked away. "So I helped them. You told me I was an adult." I stood up, that I needed to figure it out. Silence filled the room. Their faces changed slowly as the realization settled in. Wait, Mom said quickly. That was different. No, I said gently. It wasn't. I pushed the stack of bills back across the table toward them, the exact same way my father had pushed mine. Then I gave them the same advice they once gave me. Figure it out. I walked out before they could say another word. Driving home, I expected to feel something dramatic. Triumph. Vindication. But it was quieter than that. More like closing a door that had been open too long. Some lessons take years to return to their sender, but they always find their way back. And this one belonged to them.